Hey guys, KOKOStern with Why You Should, and today we start with a story! I was taking a dump this morning, and I was reading my book, and my book was really good, and I was, damn, more people should read this. And then, obviously, oh, it's Thursday, and on Thursday I do Why You Shoulds. I should tell people to read books. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do today. I'm gonna tell you to read books. So, first of all, books are awesome, and you should read them. A lot of people don't, because even the areas where you can read books, I'm not talking about just taking a chair and just reading books. I mean the areas where, say, the bus or the crapper, which is where I really enjoy reading books, or on the way waiting for your doctor's appointment or whatever it is, books have been replaced with phones, swiping and checking your Facebook. You know, this action, Facebook, going down. So that's all nice and dandy, but I have this phone, this piece of, you see the duct tape at the back? So my phone is crap, so I don't do that. And even if I had a smartphone, I wouldn't be checking my Facebook and stuff like that because I enjoy books so much. There are a ton of ways to tell a story. One of them is me telling you a story like I did right now. And there is movies and shows and games whom we all love. But one of them is also books. Actual books, okay? That we'll talk about in a second. And books are freaking wonderful. One of the unique things about it that it really is your imagination it goes through. And people who write great books are just, I really admire them because it's such a hard thing to write good books. And I'm talking from experience because I read what I wrote after writing it, and it's crap in most cases. So I always feel bad about it, and these guys are just amazing. So the main books that I read that make a lot of sense for gamers to enjoy are fantasy books. And I'm going to talk about a couple of types today that I've read so far. So we have, let's start with the obvious, Game of Thrones, freaking Game of Thrones, freaking Game of Thrones. So yeah, this is Song of Ice and Fire. This is the 5th book, actually, A Dance with Dragons by George R. R. Martin. And it's huge, it's so long. I'm actually going to try and show you that there's like, wait, there's like 1,000, can you even look at that? 1,062. Yes, 1,062 pages. It's huge, and the writing is tiny. So there's a lot to read in these, and they're really big. But everybody knows them, obviously, from Game of Thrones, the show itself. The books are a lot better. I'm sure that you have a friend that has read them and told you stop watching it because it's so good, or maybe you've read them yourself, which is good. And that's it. They're really freaking amazing. In the terms of fantasy, it's a good point to talk about fantasy books and how they're written in most cases. The general sense is that you have a couple of characters, and when I say a couple, I mean just a couple, about 3, 4, 5 characters that you just go between, and then they have interjecting stories that they end up together, or something like that. They affect each other, they end up together, or whatever. And what this guy did, George R. R. Martin, decided to, 5 isn't enough. I think I'll go for 20. So, obviously there's so many characters that you can't follow anything. And that's one extreme, and he just does it so well that it's fine. And that's one extreme. The other extreme is what this guy did. The Name of the Wind, this is by Patrick Rothfuss, Light? Yes, Light. Patrick Rothfuss. This guy is really wonderful. This book is really enjoyable. What he did is the exact opposite of George R. R. Martin. He just went, I have one character, she tells you a story, that's it. And that's just one character throughout. And it's quite remarkable. Patrick Rothfuss, this is actually one of my favorite books. It's really good. It's just really good. He just does it so well in terms of fantasy, just telling that one story and going through it. It flows so well, which is weird because you're used to having, especially for me who's been reading books for such a long time, it makes sense to have, you know, a couple of characters here and there, and then you jump between them, and maybe you like this character more, and then damn, an episode for this character, but it's kind of a hiatus from all the action that's happening in one character's chapter, and then you move. And this guy is just like one character, and you go, you keep going from that character's perspective, and only her, only that character. And he does it really well, so this one is definitely recommended. It might be a little lighter to read than most cases. I mean, when I say light, I don't mean that it's short, because it's really long, as well, not really long, it's standard. It's about 600 pages with decent writing, that's standard. 1,000 pages with tiny writing is insane. So that's not the normal case, at least. But The Name of the Wind, and followed by the something with fear. I can't remember the name of the second book. But these stories, these books are always either in a trilogy or in a seventh. How do you say seventh? I'm not even sure. A saga, I guess. A 7. Anyway, this is George R. R. Martin. We're waiting for book 6 and 7. This is book 1. We're waiting on book 3. It's going to be a trilogy, and book 2 is only out. And those are kind of the newer stuff that are really breaking out of the standard. And what's the standard, you ask? This is the standard. This is Margaret Weis and Tracy Hickman, very, very widely known for Dragonlance. And Dragonlance is something that a 15-year-old should read. I wouldn't recommend it to adults because it's kind of nice, and it's something that teenagers should read in most cases. It's wonderful, and I've read all of those books. They're wonderful, but I read them when I was in junior high and in high school, and that's the age where you should read them. This one, The Deathgate Cycle, this is very tiny writing, but this is the first one. It's called Dragon Wing. There's 7 books, and they are truly remarkable. My favorite from when I was younger, it was just really, really great, by Margaret Weis and Tracy Hickman. And it's kind of the standard in a way that you have a couple of characters. There's nothing insane on any end. And it's really good. It raises some wonderful questions, and it's just done very well. They're actually not that long. This one is actually 400 pages, so it's not that huge. But definitely books that you should read, and that maybe they're older in the way that in older fantasy books, it usually takes about 100 pages for you to get in. The 100 first pages could be a bit difficult because you have no idea what's going on, and it's just kind of hard to get through. The newer actually do it a lot better, and you start getting interested after 30, 40, 50 pages. You start really getting into it. And the old ones take 100, maybe even more sometimes, but still very, very great. And what I'm reading right now is Abercrombie. I'm actually reading Best Served Cold. As you can see, I'm in the middle of the book. Not in the middle quite. And this is also really, really great. He wrote the First Law trilogy, and then a couple of standalone books that happen in the same world as the First Law trilogy, but they're standalone books. So you can see things from the same world, but if they stand alone, you could just read them without anything. So I'm right now in the Best Served Cold, which is just great. This is by Margaret Weis and Tracy Hickman, George R. R. Martin, and Patrick Rothfuss. So these are the books that I have, and to close, I'd just like to say there's something about intellectual property in the sense of that doesn't quite do it in any other way other than books. Having a bookshelf with these things and just looking at it and just taking a step back and feeling proud over, I bought these books, I've read them, and they're good. And there's some kind of pride that I don't get from any other type of intellectual property. I mean, even games that you have a shelf of games that those are the games that I bought and I played and I feel good about them. It's different with games. I don't really get that sense, but with books, it's really so great. And these things, I know they're kind of big, but these days, I just like having the book itself. These days, on your phones and all that, instead of swiping stupid games or reading your Facebook, you can actually download PDFs for most of these books. They don't cost a lot of money, and you can find for pretty much any book that comes out, just PDFs and read them on your stupid little phone, whatever it may be, if you don't want to carry a book. But I enjoy carrying books. They're not that heavy if they're soft cover, and all of these are soft cover because I carry them around, so they can't be too heavy. And that's it. I love reading on the crapper. You could take it on the bus, you could take it on the train, you could take it when you need to read, when you need to wait for your doctor's appointment or whatever. And you should read books. And these books specifically are freaking great. So read them. That's it. That's all I have to say for today. I wanted to show off the books that I've read recently and also a long, long time ago. So I'm going to go, well, not really read right now, but next time I'm going to go to the bathroom, I'll keep on reading it, and they're really amazing, and you should read them. And that's it. That's why you should for today. Thanks a lot for watching. I hope this has been enjoyable and educational as well, and I will see you guys next time. Laters.